ene yeda sori ya asemu a yatene se yewura Sam George, Honorable Sam George, where the abatu just say sim registration ayeye no under MPP aban no. Ene say yesi 2026 na first quarter of the year no nyankopon ya adomo a nhihye nyina koyi a Ghana fo nyina esan akosan lai na sim registration no ya san sha foforo na de under MPP ayeye no under Honorable Eslausu ayeye no wachira eye mogo o say yakosan lai kwa yakogina wiem ma wi ahye kwa mfaso bi amaso enti afei ene eba be register your sim card ni ye na de omo ye ne de emfaso bi amaso afei ene eba be register ni ye asemi se wonte ya wadahroma mabie so
Communications Minister Honorable Sam George Edesebi Atuja o say first quarter of 2026 nyame adoma ye be sim registration all of all sim registration okasa sim like what is as well na say about few years ago in the MPP Amamu. Now then there's a same registration. All of all, I say and then yes same registration. Abishina, yeah, you hear me right. I say yes same registration. But the same way to Abra or call TV3 breakfast show so TV3 new day almost shows. Roland Walker a host too. And Roland Walker besides same registration and also that we same registration. Same registration. Obviously, like I never knew say different from the all kind of really same registration. Or church same baby anymore. So obviously me say overcome ni akoti insama black insama Sam George Communications Minister Edituda FSM registration no ana mesra also bit ma kire wa adwen awame e wo comment section ase aha e ya Zinga TV.
What are we doing with the re-registration?
We're not doing a re-registration. We're doing a SIM registration. Okay. You see, you re-register something that was previously registered.
But we registered at L.
No. You didn't do any. You didn't do any registration. You didn't do any registration. The former minister just wasted everybody's time.
Oh, I went through. I'm talking my person.
I'm saying, yeah, she wasted your time.
Biometrics.
Listen, the government of Ghana says that we have one single source of truth for national identity, NIA. The National Identity Register, held by the National Identification Authority, the Ghana card that we hold. That's a single source of truth. The registrations that were purported to have been done under Eslausu and the NPP did not cross-reference the biometrics they took from you against that database.
They didn't sync them?
Nothing was of that nature was done. She was fighting Kenatefa. Battle of Clash of Egos.
Okay, how is this going to work then?
So now we have sat down with the Minister for Interior and his head of agency, Yaira Koku, at NIA. We've worked out the integration between the telcos, the regulator, the NCA, and the NIA.
This is a Zinga
and that's
TV.
Why I'm saying that, look, you're not majority of Ghanaians will not have to queue. Because what we're going to do is, we're now taking, we've tried to pick up from the telcos, all the biometrics they collected. It was sitting in databases scattered all over the places. We've picked those databases and we're now cleaning them up and cross-referencing them with the NIA in the back end. So for about 80% of that has been done. We will be able to identify and say that, okay, your fingerprints you submitted at LWAC, where you say you went to, we've picked it from your service provider, we've cross-referenced it against what you gave to NIA, and we see that they match. So then it means that since there's a match, there's no problem with yours. We'll send you a prompt to authenticate that that number is yours, and we'll register it for you. For those that there is no match, the same way you book an appointment for passport services or visa services, you will book an appointment at your service provider and go. So you won't have a crowd of people lining up and queuing up there for 3 days and end. No, you have an appointment, you go, your details are taken, and it is done.
What's the rationale for digitalization? Why do we need to...
You need to deal with fraud. look, we're having several instances where people are using SIM cards for all kinds of things that are illegal. And that's why we're not just doing the SIM reg, we're doing the SIM reg along with a second policy directive called the Central Equipment Identity Register. So now when you register your SIM, your phone is also going to be registered. Every phone has a unique IMEI. So the IMEI of your phone is synced to your SIM card. So when your number is flagged, today, the cost of mobile money fraud is 10 Ghana cedi. That's the cost of doing mobile money fraud. Because if your number is reported today to us and we block that SIM card, it costs 10 cedis to get a new SIM card. They just go and get a new SIM card. But if we now begin to block the SIM card and the phone that's associated with that, it increases the cost of doing that.
But we're in Ghana, people buy off-the-shelf phones. So it's not like as
if your phone, if the phone's IMEI is not on, if you bring it into the country and it is not registered on our system, it will not.
You sure that's going to work?
It works everywhere.
Why do you need a special purpose vehicle for that?
What special purpose vehicle?
You said there's going to be an entity that's going to do that.
We're doing that at the regulator. All of this is going to sit with the regulator.
Okay.
The regulator has service providers who are providing the service, but it's owned by the regulator.
Okay.
That's the difference between us and the previous administration. The previous administration gave it to private companies to do it. No. Whatever anybody does, it's for the regulator. The NCA owns the data and holds the data.
At their behest. They would
absolutely. The NCA is contracted. They will manage the entire system.
Just about a month or 2-3 ago, there was all this concern about the is it amendment to the cybersecurity law? There's a bill, etc. What's the whole intent?
Okay, so when I took over the ministry, I realized that some of the legislation.
All I knew was that they said you will not allow me to do TikTok videos.
That's not true. That's not true. You know, what people have done is they've taken the bills, the draft bills that we've done, put them in AI tools and say, generate a response for me. I mean, if you're asking AI tools to generate interpretation of legislation, you will end up with all the misinformation that people are putting up. And that's the reason why one of the new legislation we are bringing is a misinformation and disinformation bill, so that people are careful the kind of information that they put out. You cannot just sit there and peddle untruths. Look, I keep saying that legislations are not Mills and Boons novels. You don't read them like that. They're pieces of law. And some of the things people are screaming about are not new provisions. They're already in the existing act. We are strengthening the act. And look, we are being transparent. We've done a zero draft. It's never happened before in Ghana. Quote me anywhere. No ministry has done a zero draft and put it out publicly and said, we want public inputs. Most times, public inputs are only sought after the ministry has completed its work in secrecy, gone to cabinet and gotten cabinet approval, and it gets to parliament. It is parliament that asks people for public memos. This is the first time a ministry is opening itself up and saying, because we have nothing to hide, because we want public input. So my point is simple. If you think there's a provision in the legislation that zero drafts, submit your input. This weekend, in fact, starting from tomorrow, the ministry with all the law firms that are working on the 15 pieces of legislation, we're working on 15 pieces of legislation, it's not one, 15 new pieces of legislation. All the law firms, all the technocrats from the 15 agencies, and the ministry itself are all going to be in a residential meeting for 3 days to take into consideration all the inputs that have been made. We've received over 300 inputs across all the legislation. We're going to consider all of them, insert those that add and strengthen our legislation, and then publish the new draft as well.
Thank you so much for watching. Kindly don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay safe till we meet in the next one. I love you, and it's bye for now.